Okay, in this tutorial for the PC version of Avid Media Composer, we're going to deal with the graphic tool, the title tool. Now, in this version of the Avid, to find out what it is, if I go to the Help menu, I can see About Avid Media Composer. And this tells me that this is the 2020.6.5 version of the software, okay? So the reason why I point that out, because the equivalent one, the same one, on the Mac would not have this tool. So the main difference is the Title Tool application versus the newer Avid Titler Plus. The Avid Titler Plus also shows up right here on your toolbar, but the Avid Title Tool does not. I prefer the Title Tool. The biggest difference, mainly as I understand it, is the newer one, the Titler Plus, can handle much higher project resolution, such as the 4K, the 6K, 8K, and on up, whereas the Title Tool application is limited to just standard high definition, which is 1080. But so I'll launch this anyway. It may ask you this question. So it says, here it is, select Title Tool. There are three choices here: Marquee, Title Tool, and Titler Pro. Titler Pro is another application you have to upload into your thing when you're setting up the whole Media Composer. Marquee is something Avid bought many years ago, and it's good for certain things, but it's very much more complex because it gets into 3D extruding, lighting, and all sorts of things, which is not bad. It's just that for the purpose of this course, it's way too extensive, and I like to ignore it only because the learning curve is pretty high. So I'm going to hit persist and choose Title Tool, so it only opens the Avid Title Tool. So when it does that, it opens up this window, and you can see that we're seeing the background. So when I put it on this car, I click the top bar and it updates. It doesn't really play in real time because it's just giving you a frame so that if you're creating a title, you can see it in the context of its positioning. So in this case, there are these white outline borders. The most inner border is the one we will always try to keep our titles within, which is the most constrictive as far as title safe. All right, so we'll go with broadcast rules, which will make this use the innermost box. On the bottom here are all your tools, and there's some menu items up top, but starting at the bottom, the default here is the T tool. So I'm going to just click here and type forward flex, and I'm going to add the second line. It says see your local dealer. Okay, now I'm going to first, with the deleting cursor, I'm going to swipe to the last line and make it smaller. So here it is, it's at 48. I'm going to bring it down to 36. Forward flex, I'm going to make it a little bigger from 48. I'll go to say 90. No, that 96 is too big. Let's go to 72. Okay. And to reset that, I hit the arrow tool, which is my selection tool, and then I can move it around. Now both these are just, I put the two lines together, but the spacing between the lines is a little bit too much. So I hit whenever I want to do something with the text, I hit the T tool, swipe with my mouse, so this activated. Then down here where it says LEAD, which is known as leading, I'm going to go, let's just try -20, for instance. Enter. Nothing seems to happen. I click on the arrow, and it has to refresh, and there it is. So that I just took a guess on -20, so that's a better, closer thing. Now, something like this, I want to put a drop shadow to make it stand out a little, because you see this white on the bright area, and there's a little box down here on the right. The shadow is behind this little box. I'm going to hold my left mouse button down, hold it down, and drag the shadow out from behind down into the lower right, and there it is. I'm going to put this a little bit higher. There you can see the drop shadow. So the drop shadow distance is this. the color of it happens to be black, which is what the shadow is here. If I want to change the color to say red, there it is. Okay, but no, I think I'll stay with the black. And there it is. Okay, and close this. Now, if I want more of a soft shadow, there's nothing here for softness. So what I'm going to do is go up to Object menu, and the bottom says Soften Shadow. I do that. It says how much. It's 4 is the default. I'm going to say 6, and hit Apply. And now you can see it's a softer shadow there. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put it back down at the bottom, click the arrow tool, put it down, and this is what I mean by keeping it right inside the title safe. Now, there's something called kerning, and there's no program right now that auto-kerns correctly because it changes with every font you pick, and that'll be too much. But the kerning is the spaces between the letters. When I look at this text, the F and the O has space, the O to R has a space, R to D, but they're all different. And you look at the F to L, the L to E, the E to X, and some of this has to do with the fact that this F was a capital letter around the circle around R, which is not a circle, R to D has some curve, and so forth. So the different shapes of the letters would be a tall, vertical, thin thing versus something round. The spacing is hard to be consistent. So I'm looking at it, it doesn't feel right, so I'm going to change it. I click on the T because I'm going to change the text again. I'm going to click between the F and the O, and I'm going to pull that in a little bit tighter. So on my PC, I'm going to hold the Alt button down, holding that down, and I'm going to hit the left arrow, and each click will bring it in a little bit more. When I let's say, okay, right, left, I like that spacing better, right there. I'm going to let go of the Alt, hit the right arrow, jumps to the next gap, hold Alt down again, and then tighten that up a little bit, let go, move to the right, pull right up there, right, hold Alt down, bring in the L, one click there, right, click there. So there, that to me looks a lot better. What did that look like before? If I can, let's see. If I type the same word again, so now you can see the way the computer did it. The top one is what came out of the computer by just typing these letters. The bottom one was when I changed the kerning, the spacing between letters. And to me, this looks more correct. That looks all kind of, not quite right. So I'm going to select that, hit delete, and get rid of it. Okay. So that's creating text. Now suppose we don't like the font. Oh, okay. So I hit T again, select the whole thing, and right now it's on Arial. So what is my other choices? Let me go down to my go-to font, which is Impact. There. And this B is bolded. It's bold enough without it. And I hit the arrow. Okay, so now again the kerning doesn't work because it was set for the Arial font. So I'm just going to relax this spacing a little bit more. Alt, open it up a little bit. Open it a lot more. And it's totally aesthetics, how you see it, how you envision it, and there we go. I think I'm gonna take the soft, let me see what it looks like without. If I change softness to 0, what will happen? There you go. Yeah, that makes sense. No softness, 0 softness. I want a little more sharper thing because the font. Okay, so that's how one creates the text. And before we save it, sometimes this will happen. Let's say, for sake of argument, I want the forward flex to be larger. It's at 72 right now. I go to 96. 6. Let's see if I go to, okay, there it is. I just made it big enough so that all of a sudden now it's stacked. I said, well, what happened? Well, you can barely see it, but there is a bounding box around this, and that's what these little white squares are. There it is. Because I made the font so big, I got to expand the box. It doesn't, for some reason, automatically expand the box when I change the font. So sometimes if you're typing and all of a sudden it goes into another row, all you have to do is expand that box and, you know, make it fit. So can I scrunch this up a little more? There it is. So that's really too scrunched up for even the small font. Okay, so what I'm going to do is change the forward, go back on the forward flex, bring it back to 72, still correct the bounding box. There it is, and use the arrow, and if there's any residual thing, that's okay. I like that. Now if I were to put a background behind this to make it really stand out, because it gets very busy here as far as colors and lights, there is a little box right here. I click on the box, then my mouse is a cross arrow. I'm click and drag and create a bar. Okay, now the color it chooses is of course the white, which is the fill. I'm going to change that, change it into a darker, oops, I want a blue, but there we go, a little bit darker blue to kind of go with the shot. There it is. Okay, then I close the color picker. I expand this to make sure it's big enough. Sometimes what I do is I stretch it just a little bit more, and then you can move it. It's kind of like moving behind the edge underneath the frame here. Now wait a minute, I lost my letters. Oh, okay, so I select that, go to Object, and Send to Back. There it is. Okay, so forward there, click over here, and there's my box. Okay, maybe it's a little bit too dark. Let's lighten it up just a little bit. Over here you can see kind of like before and after. Okay, nothing's changing. Why? Because I forgot to select the box first and then change. There it is. So there's always something like that. If you're doing something and there's no result, chances are you didn't select the correct element. Okay, I have the arrow tool to select the box. Then I see the little white square. There it is. That's what I want to do. And do that. And with this selected, I'm going to use my up arrow and increment it ever so slightly. There it is. Now this has a drop shadow too, by the way. So if I do that, I'll remove the drop shadow. I don't think I need a shadow on the bar. Okay, now I'm going to save this. So I go File, Save Title, and I'm called this Forward Flex W box, meaning with box. And I'm going to hit save, and there it is. So it's saved here. Did it? Okay, there's a problem. I had this problem earlier. Anyway, I'm going to close this because I'm done with it. And I'm going to create a new layer on my timeline, which is Control Y, V1 to V2. The text is loaded, but for some reason I can't see it. I think, oh no, there it is. How weird, it puts a fade in. I don't really want a fade in. Why does it? So it's doing me a favor, which I don't really need. But anyway, I'm going to edit this down. Oops. Way too much. Marking in, marking out. There it is. I don't see the title. My eyeball is here. I'm going to select it, go into my effect mode, and I realize for some reason, and this is kind of a strange setting over here, you see foreground level, it's at 2, push all the way up to 100. There it is. So for some reason it decided to do me a favor, and here's a keyframe already, So if this ever happens, fix it. Okay, so there it is. Now, oops, notice it's a little off here. The position is not 100% correct. So what I want to do is not have it just pop on. I want it to slide on. So again, I go to my effect mode, and at the beginning here, under position, H position, which is horizontal, I'm going to right click here and add a keyframe. I'm going to move it down a little bit, add another keyframe for horizontal positioning. So this is the end position. I'm going to move it right just, whoops, okay, for some reason it's too small. See this edge here? I'm going to go to scale and just add, it's 100, I'm going to go 110, enter, and maybe that's too much. 103, okay, that, yeah, so I just set it at 103, and that was enough to take care of that. So at the start position here, well, let me make sure on the second keystroke. Yes, it's there. That's the end position. I go back to the first keyframe, and I'll move the horizontal all the way to the left. All right. This is, I could still see a little bit of it. Why can't it go off completely? Huh, that's kind of interesting. I'm going to add a keyframe here, and then because I made it bigger, it sticks out a little bit, and by the time it gets here, I'm going to add another keyframe, and that'll be 103, but when it gets to the beginning, let's make this 100. Oops. Okay, so it's off the frame. So in theory, when I hit play, it should slide in. There it is. Okay, it's a little too slow for my taste. So how does one fix that? Effect mode, and this is in the position, select that. I will move it to the left. Earlier, let me see if I can hold Alt down and move that. Yes, so to move it left and right, I have to hold Alt. I'm doing the same thing with scale, just in case. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, a little faster. I think it could be even tighter than that. How about that? Okay. There you go. Okay, so that's the text. Now suppose you showed this to your client, or you look at it and say, well, I don't really like the color of that blue. Can we change that? So the easiest thing to do is click to make sure it's here, and with the effect mode open, there's a little box up here that says Edit Title. I click on that Edit Title button, and it launches. Promote this marquee, persist, no. Persisting not to do that. And now I click on the arrow, select the blue bar, go to the color picker, and let's just say, for sake of argument, we want it, I was right, I should have gone to dark blue. Hit OK, hit File, Save Title, save this time, exit title to, yes, save it, and then save it again, and it'll update that. So I don't have to create a new one. It just updated that. Nice feature. Okay. But suppose now I'm going to do this, and I want to use this again and do a different one. So I select it again, hit the, and this is going to edit title again, and I want everything exactly the same, but the next thing I would say is not see your local dealer, but oops, arrow tool, hit T, not see your local dealer, but don't miss the discounts. Okay. Okay, that, where did it go? I have a feeling it's because my bounding box. I click on it. Here's the little white square. Drag that to the right. Don't miss the discounts. Okay. Okay. And position this up again. It seems this should have been 36, I think. Yeah. Okay. So for some reason, see how this, I just moved around. It kind of erases the don't miss the discounts. Okay. So now, because the font, the size, the colors, everything the same, I'm going to go File, Save Title As, and this will be Forward Flex with discounts. Save that. Now, in my clips bin, here's the one with the discounts, and let's see if there's the dealer one. So it updated the one on my timeline. I put back the dealer one, see local dealer, and then after that I will load up the discounts, and let's put that in also. So now I go from this one, I probably have to reanimate it, and then this one. Okay, so again, easy to do. Hit the things, just remember to right click on the in this case I'm using horizontal positioning, so I make sure I'm on that parameter. Okay, go back to the first one, slide left, goes in, same thing with the second one, right click on position, add keyframe, add a second keyframe. So I always like to preset them first and then change the value. Okay, here we go. Forward flex to your local dealer, and then the next one, don't miss the discounts. Okay, so that's the title tool. Again, it only is available on the PC, at least on my version. It is not available anymore on the regular Mac version. So there you go.